Because if his theory had been correct, that human well-being was inversely proportional to human numbers, then the world standard of living in 1930 should have been double what it was in 1968. Now, Ehrlich was born in 1931. If the world had been an affluent place in the 1930s, he would have been there to see it. It wasn't. The theory is totally counterfactual. Okay? Now, how can this be? Why is it the case that human well-being goes up as the world population goes up? Well, first of all, the reason why it shouldn't go down is because the more people there are, every mouth comes with a pair of hands. Fine. But they also come with a brain, and which makes the more people there are, the more technological advances there are, because the more inventors there are. Okay? And these technological inventions are cumulative. Furthermore, you have a larger market when you have more people, which makes investment in new technologies more profitable. Okay? You can justify larger investments if you have a bigger market to sell to. You also have available a larger division of labor. All these things make, and it also makes possible economies of scale and production. It also makes it easier to build infrastructure like roads and bridges and so forth. Also, simply having an adequate population density is necessary to have enough boots on the ground to suppress insects and other environmental hazards, diseases. The reason why, one reason, and there's more, why Africa, the least dense populated continent on the earth, has the lowest standard of living, is there aren't enough people there to suppress, to drain swamps where insects breed, malaria and so forth. So all that is true. But furthermore, we don't just live better because of all the people that are living now. We live better because of all the people that have lived in the past. Okay? We are standing on their shoulders because, look, product per capita equals how much is, what is consumed per capita equals how much is produced per capita on average in the society. What determines how much is produced per capita? Technology. Who creates technology? People. Okay? So this graph here, what I'm looking at here is the total number of person years, actually since starting at the year 0, although I start the graph at the year 1500, versus GDP per capita. In other words, this is like looking at the number of man years that have been available on Earth, okay, to create technology. And what you see is as the number of man years goes up, the GDP per capita goes up. Or put another way, just imagine how much poorer we would all be today if there had been less people on Earth in the 1800s. Let's say the population of the Earth in the 1800s had been half what it actually was. Well, you can get rid of either Edison or Pasteur. Take your pick. Okay, no electricity or no germ theory of disease. Which would you rather give up? Okay, so, and you can get rid of a host of lesser inventors and innovators the same way. So there you have it. This is why the Malthus theory is totally wrong. Okay, now it gets worse because following Malthus we have another seminal thinker named Charles Darwin. Okay, and there's some real problems with Darwin that I'm going to discuss. Okay, but here is the chief problem is that Darwin postulated progress through death. Second to last sentence of his most famous work, Origin of Species. Thus, from the war of nature, from famine and death, the most exalted object which we are capable of conceiving, namely the production of higher animals, directly flows. It comes from death. Okay? And then, furthermore, he throws in something else, which is even more deadly, in his second most important book, The Descent of Man, which was published around 1870, where he ascribes military prowess of societies. So here he's talking about human social evolution now. Okay, people immediately analogize Darwin's biological development into an analogy of human progress, but Darwin then proceeded to do it himself. Okay, he ascribes human military progress to the genetic endowments of societies. Okay, we can see this is what he says, that in the rudest state of society, the individuals who were the most sagacious, who invented the best weapons and traps, and who were the best able to defend themselves, would rear the greatest number of offspring. The tribes, which included the larger number of men thus endowed, would increase in numbers and supplant other tribes. At the present day, civilized nations are everywhere supplanting barbarous nations, excepting where the climate opposes a deadly barrier, and they succeed mainly through their arts, i.e., like machine guns, which are the products of the intellect. It is therefore highly probable that with mankind, the intellectual facilities have been mainly and gradually perfected through natural selection. Okay? Now, this theory is completely wrong. Okay? If you believe this, you have an impossible time explaining how the Mongols, for example, who were a collection of despised nomads for thousands of years, suddenly in the year 1200 conquered half the world, which would mean that suddenly they changed from being genetically inferior to genetically superior, okay, ruled half the world for 300 or 400 years, and then collapsed and are now despised nomads again. Okay? It has nothing to do with it. It is not the genetic endowment of nations that is the basis of their military prowess. Okay? It is social organization, it is technology, generalship. There's all sorts of things that enter into it. The degree of unity that they have at particular moments, and so forth, and luck. But there you have it. But this is what Darwin said. Okay? Now, first of all, I want to also make clear why Darwinism is wrong. Now, Darwin has been very controversial for a variety of reasons, and my basis for attacking Darwin is not the same as most of the attacks that you have heard. Okay? I am not attacking Darwin by claiming that evolution didn't happen. Evolution did happen. Evolution is a fact. Okay? There's just no doubt about that. And basically attacking Darwin by attacking evolution is greatly to the benefit of Darwin. It gives him credit for a piece of knowledge that he would never have claimed credit for developing. People knew about evolution long before Darwin. What Darwin did was create an explanation for how this phenomenon occurs. But in particular, if you try to apply natural selection to human social development, you get a radically wrong result. And here's why. Okay? Because, first of all, number one, unlike animals, humans can inherit acquired traits. This is completely a heresy with regard to Darwinian evolution by natural selection of the natural world. Number two, not only that, humans can inherit acquired traits from people they are not related to. Okay? Now, furthermore, these beneficial acquired traits, such as, for instance, technologies, which become available to all, are not created by death. They're created by human effort during life. Okay? Therefore, human existence is not a struggle of all against all. Humans benefit from the existence of other peoples and nations. If you were a Darwinian, you would have to say that the existence of the United States is of great harm to China. Because here we are, okay, we're a competing nation, we're using all these resources, but it's exactly the opposite. The United States, invented electricity and aeroplanes and nuclear power and computers and, all sorts of things that people in China use every day and greatly benefits their standard of living. We invented the agricultural technologies that brought Asia out of starvation. So, in fact, the difference between a Darwinian view, which postulates human political economy as a war of all against all, is directly at odds with the reality, which is basically that the progress of humanity is a collective endeavor in which all benefit from all, or on average. Okay, we benefit from the existence of other nations who make contributions that we can